what we have inside of us is our internal core. It is the very essence and being of who we are. And if we stand true to ourselves, then we stand in our power. And when we stand in our power, there's a sense of balance. When we get caught up in dialogue, drama, heated discussions that are really just differences of opinions, we start to give away our power. We start to get caught up in the other things, and it takes us off balance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Authentic Conversations. If this is your first time joining us, well, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much for doing so. Well, I am Amarelis.
And I'm Susan.
And we are Authentic Conversations. Hey, Susan.
Good day, Amaryllis. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm great. I'm great.
So seasonally, right? Seasonally. So I'm in the Northeast. It's starting to get a little cooler at night. I call it that somebody's going back to school feeling, right?
Mm.
Um, and I think that as we move from summer to fall, it's really important to find the balance, right? Regain that structure and composure, right? So summer feels a little like freedom and, extended days and shorter nights. And it's just, and then we start to have this transition piece back into ourselves. And the key, one of the keys, right? There's several keys to, keeping yourself on the path, but one of the keys to keeping yourself on the path is balance, is balance. And we only know balance when we get out of balance, right? We don't pay any attention to balance when things feel like they're okay. But as soon as we start to feel ourselves slipping or falling or spiraling or spinning or stumbling, right? That's when we're like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So, and balance has lots of different facets to it, right? So, most obvious maybe to people is like, balanced in the body, right? So if I'm having trouble standing up straight because I have not, done enough of the proper stretching or exercise, right? And my body feels out of balance. So I'm tipping to the right or I'm tipping to the left. But there's balanced in eating, there's balance in relationships, there's balance in nature, there's balance in everything. So realigning ourselves to center ourselves to become balanced is a real challenge because we're swaying to the right, then we're coming to center, and we're swaying to the left, and we're coming to center. So it's a constant effort to really return back to what's the center. We have that overindulgent dinner, and then we have to come back and say, okay, so how do I balance out all of that richness or all of that sweetness in order to return back to center? Because too much of one way or the other keeps us misaligned.
Mm.
So if we can recognize that even just to stand up straight is a work of pushing and pulling, right? The body is pushing and pulling. It's like finding that center all the time. And the best way to check your physical balance, which also kind of checks your emotional balance and your balanced thinking, right? Sometimes we're thinking way, way, way out there, and sometimes we're thinking way, way, way over here. Is to just stand on one foot. So like you just remind yourself, that you have to draw from the strength inside and allow all of the external stuff to not throw you. Right. So what we have inside of us is our internal core. It is the very essence and being of who we are. And if we stand true to ourselves, then we stand in our power. And when we stand in our power, there's a sense of balance. When we get caught up in dialogue, drama, heated discussions that, are really just differences of opinions, we start to give away our power. We start to get caught up in the other things, and it takes us off balance. It takes us off balance.
Oh, I love it, Susan. You're like always, the thought of today that I was thinking about was this change. We are down in Florida already starting school. We 2 weeks into homeschooling, to the adjustment of a new energy. For me, the experience of being here has been the subtle changes that happen on our side when it comes to the weather. I'm
Mhm.
loving the fact that this is my second year that I get to experience. I do miss the fall, like you said. And there is some winter here. There's a little bit of, but it's very subtle.
Yes.
And even there, you have to take the pause to know that there's a change happening. There's a change of flow of the summer, of taking the time to go to the beach. There's a flow of, like you said, the sun being out more. The summer solstice, I've learned so much about this, and I love the fact of celebrating. Pretty soon, we're going to be going into the winter solstice, where it's time to go back in and to slow things down. And I remember feeling like it was like I was depressed. And I think we're mixed. Sometimes we can mix those feelings.
Mhm.
Now realizing that it's just okay to just feel like you need to slow down,
Yeah.
and just even if it's
Permission.
a subtle change, as the weather not being so drastically changing on my side, but it is changing. It
Right.
is.
I love this. So I learned about this morning, right? I'm reading, so I'm reading this book. And wait, I have to find it. Oh, you got to bear with me for a second. So the book is called Living Balance, and it is by Joel Levy and Michelle Levy. Right? It's just, I don't even know how it showed up on my bookshelf, but like there it was. And there've been a lot of hits around balance lately.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching other people as they balance. And I may or may not be able to find the story, but there's a discussion about when it's time to migrate, right? When it's time for animals to move. Here it is. Here it is. So there's actually a term for it. It's called Zugunru, migratory restlessness. And it's a term that defines within a society of animals when it's time to move. The Zugunri always begins with the most attuned and those who are most environmentally aware. When animals enter Zugunri, they become agitated, and after their habits gathering and conserving energy all leads up to the big journey to come, right? So they become agitated and they shift and change their habits, right? So it's like part of this um, returning back to balance, right? They know that it's time to move, and moving tends to be uncomfortable
Mm.
or challenging, right? Whatever you want to call it. I call it sensational. Moving is always sensational, brings all kinds of new exciting things. But as they prepare, there's a restless agitation, like a knowing that things are shifting, and it's an internal knowing. So they become agitated and alter their habits of gathering and conserving energy leading up to their big journey. Um, The times of the great turning, Zugunre, is being used to describe the restlessness of those and activation of those of us who are seeking to transform our lives and our society to meet more in harmony and balance with the natural world. So when we look at balance in nature, right, and we look at what's happening around us, as the birds start to migrate and, the animals, begin to their restlessness to prepare for hibernation, like, what are you feeling? It's like you have to ask yourself, what do I need? If we don't, so how do we get in balance if we never pause and ask ourselves what we need? I say that the incredible part about just the way we live our lives today, in the go 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 go, and the more you accomplish, the more valuable you are, like those mindsets are self-imposed and limiting. If we don't pause to listen to ourselves and figure out what we need: more rest, better nutrition, better self-talk, a better opportunity to cultivate or develop that which we're longing, right? We have a desire or a longing, to accomplish or achieve something. But it's easier to be busy over that nagging or gnawing than it is to actually sit back and objectively observe it. And that's part of finding balance, right? So instead of recognizing what we're feeling and what we're saying and what we're noticing, we just insert more busy.
Because we want to keep busy. That way, we're not thinking of the shadows and the work we need to do. So, audience, our guys that are listening to us, you always come in to listen to some tips. Just be mindful of what you're feeling and that change that little bit of the nagging uncomfortableness that you're feeling or nervousness. If you're a parent, you're getting the kids ready, you're getting the schedules ready, there's those sports activities that are happening and the birthday parties that are coming through, and there's all these invitations, but then we get swallowed into saying yes, yes, yes to everything.
Yeah.
We start getting burned out before we even get to December.
Be selective. Choose
Selective.
what's most important. And here is probably the crux, right? Don't beat yourself up over it. Don't judge yourself over it, and don't get mad at yourself because you can't do it all, because I have yet to meet someone that can do it all, right? Choose what it is that's important and do that well, and find joy in that, because if you're stealing the joy from that by feeling guilty or responsible or jealous or angry or hurt about something else that you couldn't manage, that you weren't meant to manage in that moment, that's where we get ourselves in trouble. That's where we overeat, we overconsume, right? So overconsume is the word, right? The visual is like overeating. We're like getting so busy that we're just taking on everything, right? But we overconsume. Don't feel bad about the choices that you make in the moment to take care of yourself. That is key. That is key. Non-judgment, without judgment. You decide what's right for you, and then you move forward with that.
So I love the change of like the weather, the new school spirit, right? People are going back. This is the theme that's happening right now. You're end of the summer, you're trying to capture that time to go on to that last vacation, that last time to go to the beach. Take this moment and reflect. It's almost like a new year. And we talked about this a couple of times, where I love the fact that like the moon has different phases, right? And we've forgotten about this, going back to nature. Even nature itself always changes, and it's a full moon and then there's a new moon. And when you're working with the moon, you have to reflect and you put affirmations for the things that you want and the things that you have learned or you want to let go of.
And
So this
what I love about the changes? Sorry, I don't
no,
lose
go.
this. You know what I love about the changes is it cycles back around. So you always get another opportunity to do it again better, right? So it's like, don't get hung up on how you manage that, because you practice at the next cycle. You practice, it becomes easier, it becomes more natural to you to take care of yourself, to not judge, to not beat yourself up, to not live in a should have, could have, would have world, right? So we have cycles and we have opportunities again and again and again and again. So nature is cyclical.
Oh my God, I was just about to say that. Learn from last year. How many,
Yeah,
yes did you put in for the kids and then you were burned out? Did you ask for enough help? Where's your community? Who are your supporters? Did you ask? Because sometimes we already have the support. We are just so prideful to say, I could do it all.
right.
I want to be, especially our beautiful moms out there who want to be doing so much and then they forget about themselves. So fill your cup first, guys, and parents who are out there getting ready for the school year, let's put the mask on ourselves first. Oh my God, yesterday I came home for lunch and everyone needed lunch. We homeschool. And I went ahead and I made lunch for everybody else.
Oh,
And by the
ran out
time,
of time. Ran out of time. Yeah.
not only that, by the time I'm about to feed myself, I'm a little cranky, to
Yeah.
be honest, because I'm already hungry. I came hungry.
Hangry,
And my
hangry.
youngest looks at me and he goes, Mom, well, you should have been first.
Yeah.
I said, Calvin, you're right.
Learned.
You're right. You guys were not that hungry. I could have
And
asked.
and they could have eaten at any point. You just make it and you leave it there, and they graze and go. It really is about balance. And if you're listening to your body and you're hungry, what you're doing is you're assuming everyone else is hungry, so you're taking care of everyone else when that's not even the case. Take care of yourself. Provide
Yes.
for them, but take care of yourself.
There's a beautiful story that I was reading on one of my books. I did a 21-day challenge with Sonia Cochet. She's
Mhm.
she's talking about life is simple, keeping it simple. Again, right back to the stretching, back to the breathing, back to going out to nature and not forcing things. And there's a mom who really wants to make breakfast for her kids, and the kids are not hungry in the morning. They was just this unbalanced back and forth. I made this in for you. You have to eat this breakfast. It's already ready for you. You have to eat before you go to school. And when she backed off and she decided to listen to what her kids need, because we also need to realize that we're all different human beings. In my household, everybody eats at different times. I have one that wakes up, has to have 4 pancakes, a whole full meal. I have another one that eats 2 hours later, an hour later. I only have coffee. Everyone's different.
Right.
And she started to listen, and then she was feeling guilty, and she was feeling like, well, what do I do with my time? I mean, I should be a mom. I should be baking breakfast. That's the first thing.
She created a story
Yeah.
about how breakfast validated her worth as a mom.
So she decided, Sonia guides her to tell her, what would you like to do in the morning? She goes, well, I would like to go for a walk. So what's stopping you from going for a walk? So she would get up and she went for a walk and she had her time to herself and she had a coffee and she came back. And by the time she came back from the walk, everybody was waiting for a small snack or something to take with them for school. And the energy all of a sudden changed in the household.
Yes, because it went from forced to allowing. Yeah.
So, guys, listen to each other in your house. How does everyone work? We don't all work the same, and we forget that. The same thing as nature doesn't stay the same. There's going to be a subtle change or a drastic change, and follow the change and follow the lead and help by loving others, by allowing them to be who they are.
And if the stories that you're creating are creating an imbalance, right? If it's not aligned with, if what you believe everyone needs is not aligned with what everyone's telling you they need, that's out of balance. You've got to find that center. You've got to find that middle. You've got to release your story and figure out how you are going to satisfy that need to be a mom differently. Yeah, it's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. Balance. It's all
Balance.
balance. Everything, if it's not in balance, it's out of whack.
That's it, guys. And I just want to remind you, Susan said stand on one leg. That was our exercise for today. But balance, I want to just give you a keynote because I've taken Susan's yoga class. What we do on one side of our body, we must do on the other side. So back to the balance. Definitely start with your right leg or your left leg, whatever feels the most that you need to stretch. It's almost like that tree pose. This is what the image came to me, Susan, when you were guiding us on that tip, and just closing, putting our palms out and standing in the tree pose where you put your leg up and you balance on the left, must balance on your right, guys.
Switch it, make
Switch it.
sure that, because otherwise one side of the body is working harder than the other. If you carry your purse on the right side all the time, carry your purse on the left today. Tomorrow carry it on the right, the next day carry it on the left. If you hold the baby on the right side all of the time, what is happening to the left side of your body? So it's all just noticing. And if we start to notice the balance in the physical, then we're going to notice the balancing emotions. We're going to notice the balancing thoughts. We're going to notice the balanced eating. We're going to notice the balanced relationship evolving. So yeah, just little notes to self. Stay in
All right.
balance.
Stay balanced. Enjoy this beautiful fall that's coming through. Goodbye.
Bye.